Hey everybody, my name is Marcus Wabschel. I'm an immigration attorney and I'm the founding attorney of Veritas Immigration Law, which is an immigration-only law firm located in Southwest Florida. In this video, I want to talk just really briefly about the presidential election and what I think are going to be some immediate consequences of President Trump's re-election in the immigration world. And I really just want to focus really on one thing because there could be many things, and there probably will be many things that we'll see over the course of President Trump's time in office. But I think I want to focus on what I think is going to be the immediate effect, and that's going to be asylum claims. Okay, so if you've been following American politics and you've been listening to a lot of the things the candidates have been saying, there's a lot of talking points and things that become campaign issues. And one of the things that President Trump has been talking about is closing the border, right? That is a talking point, and I think a lot of people maybe don't understand what that actually means. Or people interpret that to mean different things. And so I want to talk about what I think that means and what that's actually going to look like from a practical legal perspective. So when President Trump says he's going to close the border, what I believe that means is that he's going to suspend asylum claims, okay? So right now, the asylum system in the United States is completely overwhelmed. There's millions of applications out there, and there's no way that the Immigration Service or the immigration courts can get to all of these applications in a timely, efficient manner. So I think what we're going to see is a pretty rapid suspension of all asylum claims, at least for a temporary amount of time. I don't think this will be a permanent thing. Asylum is, I've talked about this in other videos on my channel, but asylum it's actually a very noble part of our history of the United States. People who are fleeing persecution in different parts of the world, as long as they can step foot in the United States, they can claim asylum. And so I don't think that that's going to disappear forever. But I do, like I said, I do think that we're going to see a temporary suspension on asylum claims. I think that's what is meant by the closing of the border, right? So the sealing of the border will mean that asylum claims will be temporarily suspended. So you can't just walk into the United States and claim asylum. I don't know how long that could last for. I'm just kind of making a prediction here. Could be 6 months, could be a year. I don't know. I think 6 months is maybe a reasonable amount of time to allow the Department of Homeland Security and the Border Patrol and the Customs and Border Protection and the immigration courts to kind of recalibrate and reset and figure out how they want to start processing these cases again. So that is one thing that I definitely think we are going to be seeing in the near future. Closing the border, I think a lot of people interpret that to mean that there's going to be like no immigration into the United States, like not even legal immigration. And I think that's just not true, because there's a lot of legal immigration that is happening now, and it's going to continue to happen, right? There's still people who are applying for green cards. There's still businesses who are hiring foreign workers to come to the United States. There are still entrepreneurs and investors who are coming to the United States to open businesses. The American embassies around the world are still functioning to issue visas to people for all different kinds of reasons. Athletes come to the United States with visas to compete in sports. So there's a whole world of immigration that is alive and well, and that's going to continue to function. So when we hear this talking point about closing the border, what I really think that the Trump administration will be focused on is limiting or severely limiting or just altogether suspending for a temporary amount of time all asylum claims in the United States. So people who have pending asylum claims now will stay in the system and their cases will be processed, but there will be no new asylum claims that will be starting. Okay, I don't think consular or American embassy operations will be severely impacted by this. I think they'll continue to conduct interviews and issue visas to applicants who are applying. In terms of enforcement priorities, so people who are currently in deportation or who are in removal proceedings, I think we'll see a prioritization of enforcement against people who already are convicted of crimes. So if there are immigrants who are in the system now who are in the process of being deported or removed, those who have criminal backgrounds, especially felonies, or even misdemeanors maybe, but for sure people who have a criminal background here in the United States will probably see increased enforcement activity against those people. I think we'll probably also see some kind of registration system get developed for undocumented people. So one of the things that I've heard is there will be some kind of procedure for undocumented people to register with the US government so the government knows where you are and what you're doing. So if you're currently in the United States undocumented, it could be as simple as you'll have to go to the local post office and fill out a card and send it into the government and let them know your name and where you're living and what you're doing. So that way they will have at least some kind of database of all the undocumented people in the United States. I could see that happening. Again, I'm kind of speculating here. I'm just thinking, the election just happened early this morning. So, but I've been thinking about this leading up to the election too. But these are just kind of some of the enforcement methods that I think we could see in the future. Again, this is not happening. I'm just kind of thinking into the future about what could happen. So I guess just to kind of summarize, I think we're definitely going to see a suspension on all asylum claims coming up. I do believe American consular and embassy operations will continue to work as normal. People can still apply for visas and immigrate to the United States legally. And for enforcement in removal or deportation proceedings, I think we'll see increased enforcement activity, especially against people with criminal backgrounds, felonies or misdemeanors, and those who have a history of prior immigration violation. So those are just some of my predictions for now. I know people just have a lot of questions. I'm getting a lot of emails and calls from people who are concerned about what's going to happen. So these are just my preliminary thoughts, but I think you can take it to the bank that we're going to see at least a temporary suspension on asylum claims in the near future.